This is Tomo News for Monday, October 23rd. Badger breaks into home for catnap in a cat bed. Last week, a bad badger broke into a house in LINLITHGOW, Scotland. He slipped into the house unnoticed last Wednesday via a cat flap. To his delight, the place was stocked with cat food and a comfy cat bed. Mr. McBadger feasted on all the cat's food, then went into a food coma on the cat's bed. But his blissful slumber did not last, as a Scottish animal protection officer was called to the property and soon woke him. And that's when he made a run for it, fleeing back into the wild. There's no word from the cat, but we're sure he's pretty miffed. Catfishing story ends with a happy twist. While other women who got catfished online ended up in tears, one lucky gal's catfishing nightmare led her to find her dreamy, happily ever after. Emma Perrier joined matchmaking app Zoosk in 2015 and met a hot Italian named Ronnie. The two hit it off spectacularly, only Ronnie was really a balding 53-year-old divorcee named Alan Stanley. Stanley was a serial catfisher, and Ronnie was one of several personas he'd used over the years to bait women into online relationships. The two chatted for 6 months, forming a romance and exchanging I love yous without ever meeting in person. Perrier set out to investigate after growing suspicious of Ronnie's excuses, eventually finding out the identity of the man in the photos and the man she was actually talking to. Stanley tried to cover up his lie at first, but ended up confessing to his duplicity. The real Ronnie turned out to be Turkish model Adem Güzel, who Perrier decided to hit up to warn of the catfishing scheme. The pair began messaging back and forth, and pretty soon sparks were flying between the long-distance lovebirds. Güzel flew to London in January 2017 to visit Perrier, and the deal was sealed. The two have now been in a relationship for 6 months and are living together in London. Ironically, Güzel is auditioning for Aladdin, which one paper called the original catfishing story. Seoul's monster missile to target the DPRK. South Korea has revealed plans to build a new missile to take on the North should war break out on the Korean peninsula. The South Korean military seeks to counter Pyongyang's growing weapons capabilities by developing the Hyungmoo-4, a surface-to-surface missile with an 800-kilometer range and a payload of up to 2 tons. It will be powerful enough to destroy the North's underground military facilities and command centers, and is set to be the final weapon to be mobilized in Seoul's 3-tier attack plan. The plan's first step involves launching a KT-SSM missile to strike North Korean artillery that have been camouflaged and embedded along the DMZ and on the coast of border islands. Hyungmoo-2 ballistic missiles will then be deployed to neutralize the enemy's nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction, and their delivery systems. The development of the Franken missile is part of Army efforts to establish a 5-pillar operational concept that can minimize civilian casualties and put an early end to armed conflict. Hospitalized by heartbreak. Tragedy really can break your heart. Texas woman Joni Simpson found that out the hard way after the death of her wee dog, Meha. The emotional toll of Meha's death left Joni hospitalized with a broken heart, but how does that work? Also known as Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, broken heart syndrome sees severe weakening of the heart's left ventricle after a stressful event. This pot-like shape is where the condition's name comes from. A takotsubo is a Japanese pot used to trap octopuses. Experts believe the sheer amount of adrenaline and hormones triggered by the stressful event may temporarily stupefy the heart. Symptoms involve a shortness of breath and chest pain. Several tests are required to identify the condition, as electrocardiogram readings of it are usually identical to a heart attack. Most doctors prescribe heart failure drugs to help. The condition affects vastly more women than men, and around 1 in 5 of those suffering the condition die from it. Joni, the woman we mentioned at the beginning, eventually recovered from her heartbreak after a year of treatment.